Well, first off, thank you, Dennis and Edwin, to agree to participating in customer success stories. Much appreciated. And we're very proud of having BASF as a customer. And I would like to start with a pretty high level question. So if you go back in time to before collaboration, could you comment on what were your business and marketing challenges that you were facing back then?
So the challenges are basically you have your campaigns, your events, your webinars. You want to invite all the customers, your contacts, your leads, and they have to segment them, of course, before sending out emails. So we have a plenty amount of contacts in the system and we need to target them. And how we did it in the past was with either audience builder, with data filters, or with SQL. Data filters did not really work because you cannot combine multiple data extensions. Therefore, you had to be a technical user to be aware of SQL, or you can use audience builder, but also there we were very limited with the possibilities to do so.
Thank you for sharing that. Could you speak a little bit to the limitations that you faced in audience builder specifically?
So with audience builder, which was bought in separately from Salesforce, and there we only had a small amount of fields and objects we can work with. Of course, for those, it worked perfectly fine. But if you wanted to create a more advanced audience group with more fields, with more segmentation possibilities, we had to either purchase further advanced adaptations of the tool, or we had simply to do it with SQL.
Got it. Understood. Thank you for sharing that. So why did you choose DESelect segment to solve these challenges?
Well, on one side, Audience Builder was also mentioned to be run out of support, and we have plenty of users in Marketing Cloud where we know they are not that technical users. So with the drag and drop functionality tool of Audience Builder, we had to find a new solution that users are still able to create the target audience group, and also with a helpful tool without technical knowledge. Therefore, as I think as most people starting Google search for drag and drop tools for audience segmentation in Marketing Cloud. And then we found also you on the website, and then we read through it and also ordered a demonstration. I think you were also in former contact already with us, and then we just thought that was the perfect match to say, now let's go a second round into it and have a look if we can manage with DESelect to make the life easier for segmentation for our.
Great, thank you for sharing that. So a big part of the story is you're looking for a replacement for Audience Builder, and thanks to Google search and demos and also previous relations that we had, you ultimately found us and engaged with us. So if you go back to that time and you think back of those demonstrations, for instance, what was it that made DESelect and DESelect segment specifically stand out to you, if you can recall?
So this was very tough to decide, especially so from our side, because we use Marketing Clouds in our division. At BASF, we are more on the technical side, which means we are responsible for setting up Marketing Cloud, doing the technical stuff there, doing the support. So we are also capable of basic SQL knowledge, which means we have a different view on a potential tool, on the perspective to use it. And so for us, DESelect was, in contrast to SQL, of course, very easy to do. Can just, similar to Audience Builder, drag and drop, you build your data extension and at the end. So very similar to Audience Builder, which was for us like, okay, this could be a potential solution, but of course we cannot judge this on our own, because only if we say on the technical side, yeah, that's great, that's the best tool ever in the whole world. But if our business users are not comprehensive with the tool and work with the tool, then this might not be the best solution. So therefore, we had then also in our process this demo phase where we also tackled this in, I think, 4 weeks it was, then also together with Gregory to have our basically our business users also onboarded, giving a small training and then working with the tool. And so then we also saw the site from a business user perspective, because we are not always in their minds. So we know we have non-technical users, really non-technical users. So it has to be an easy tool where everyone really can work with, basically.
So that's so interesting because that topic surfaces with so many of our customers where there's this tension almost between technical marketers and non-technical marketers, or some variation. Sometimes it's even IT and marketing. In your case, it sounds like you've done a bit of a transformation almost. Initially, we're more technical users like yourself and your team that were doing things like SQL queries. But gradually, it sounds like your business users have become more well-versed at segmentation, and DESelect segment is also used by the non-technical marketers.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there was also kind of a transformation because Audience Builder was not available. So we had to change, everyone had to change a little bit to go more into a technical direction. And then we saw there were too many issues with it because SQL is, of course, very technical stuff to do in contrast to Marketing Cloud overall. Of course, you have cloud pages where you also need some level of coding skills, but most likely also email content, journey build is also very user-friendly, let's say it like this. For non-technical users, you don't have to code something, you can just drag and drop it. And yeah, that was also transformation we had to do now with our users and with a potential new tool.
Great. And I'd like to linger a little bit longer around your user base. So you've pointed out that you have more technical and less technical users, but can you describe a little bit more in detail what kind of teams are using DESelect today, and also how many users are there that use DESelect?
So currently we are talking about 23 users we have at DESelect working, and you can imagine us, so at BASF we are a global company and we have global marketing divisions for different products. So there is not one big company. We have really many different divisions with many products. So they're independent from each other, basically. So you can imagine like that. So every division is working completely different to another. There are some core topics which are very similar, but we have really distributed around the globe, different regions, working then within Marketing Cloud and different business units. Yeah, so with those 23 users, we are covering mostly EMEA region, but also North America and South America region. And yeah, so this is basically how we are working then with them together.
Great.
And they are all, let's say, so Edwin and myself, we are really from the technical division. So we are not producing any product. We are supporting our core activities for our users, and they are really then for sending out the emails, the content, and need also the.
Great. So if you go back in time to once you started working with DESelect initially, I'm curious, especially with your role where you're supporting these different markets and these global teams, like what were the initial goals for DESelect? So like how did that start? What were your initial objectives? And then today, how are your colleagues using DESelect today?
So the initial goal to use DESelect for, I mean, as described, a successor tool of Audience Builder, something which is very easy for our users to do. And how they are using it currently is I would say, are still in the early stage of adoption. So we had at the beginning of the year, so April, the first trainings where we train all the users, they get used to it, and now we will get more and more selections. The users get more used to the tool, and we try to also support from our end the users to create templates, for example, to make the life even easier for them, that they have faster time to market. They don't need to waste too much time to build their target audience group. So here with automations, with templates, we try to.
That's so cool. And of course, I know what kind of templates you're talking about, but for people who have never seen or heard about DESelect, can you talk a little bit about what those templates mean and what the automations exactly do?
So basically the templates are very easy for them to just copy and paste. So we have reoccurring use cases, for example, webinar invitations, event invitation, where a customer can attend to. So we have to send out based on specific campaigns to send out emails. But first of all, we need to group them to target them. And of course, they can just rebuild everything from scratch. do a new selection in DESelect, put in all the filter criteria and all the functionalities, and then they have at the very end their data extension to send out an email to their journey. To have it more automated, more faster for them, we can create those kind of templates where you can basically just copy and paste the whole, let's say, framework, and then you can readapt the necessary things like your campaign filter criteria and so on. So you don't have to build everything from scratch. So you can save some time.
Thanks for elaborating. It's always nice to hear our feature explained by one of our own customers. So let's talk about results. What results have you been able to achieve with DESelect since you started using it? And I understand you're still making more headway and you're still speeding up the usage and all that, but what results have you seen so far?
So we see in our quarterly meetings we have done with you guys also the amount of selection, the analytics behind it, to also see how many people logged in, you created selections, how many of them run successfully in most of the cases, to also have an overview. And we also saw that it's increased very good. We can see that there is, after the training, after also some creation of templates, also documentation for them, how they can really use it, then they get more and more onboarded and basically can do more on their own.
That's great. I'm also very curious to hear what's the feedback from the business. And what is always really important to me is that we make a big impact on our customers' business. Do you have any results from that side? And it could be anecdotal if you have any quantifiable results like efficiency or campaign velocity or even, I don't know, top line results. That would be really great too.
We also did conduct a survey with our users to also get here some feedback, also to share it then in our calls together to see how can we improve, or how can the tool, for example, be improved, what possibilities we have here. And so overall, I don't have any numbers, to be honest, right now, but I can tell you one of the questions was, how satisfied are you currently with DESelect? So from a scale from 1 to 5, and it was in the good 4 region, 3 to 4 regions. So it was really good for most of the colleagues here. And also easy and fast use cases can be done really quick with DESelect. So typical use cases, best practices for us, the most common ones are really to have, I guess most of the customer will then be also familiar with Sales Cloud, I hope. So you have campaigns, campaign members, and you want just to build your data extension based on a specific campaign to get the campaign members also in relation to content, to get contact and lead information in a data extension. And this is a broad use case we have really over the whole globe for all the divisions, which they can do very easily, very fast, also here with the templates. So they really don't need to waste so much time. For example, if you write a whole code for SQL. So this is very helpful. Then talking about, again, non-technical users, it's more than a little bit more hard than to work with a use case. You have to understand how the tool works, also the relationships between the different objects, how to set it up, when to use then different kind of joins. And then it comes to the complexity again for non-technical users. So they need them to understand the data structure within Sales and Marketing Cloud. They need to know, independent of DESelect, of course, if it is a left join, inner join needed, full join, and so on. So those are statements you will definitely face with DESelect, with Audience Builder, with SQL, with every tool. So those are the most challenges we have from complex use cases to build them then basically with our users.
And that's where I think those templates probably come in handy.
Partly, yes, but not for everyone. Everyone has their own use cases. They are very similar on a more structured way, but it is still changing a little bit for different divisions.
Great. Awesome. So is there anything since you started to work with DESelect that has exceeded your expectations? Something you didn't expect, but that you really like about the platform?
My first fear was that it is still too technical for the users, because most of them are really marketing colleagues. So they are really just have their marketing use cases, and even Marketing Cloud might be overwhelming, as this is a technical tool, of course, obviously. The challenge was to really find also a tool which is, of course, you cannot make the perfect tool. That's not possible to have a tool which fits for everyone. So, and then we try to figure out the best tool to have really for a broader audience. And then, yeah, the beginning was kind of frustrating, to be honest. After the training, then we saw also the number of selection was very low. We're talking about for 1 or 2 months, about a few 10, 20 selections which were made, which we then also thought maybe we did the training wrong, or did we set up something not correct, or was it not the time for use cases at the moment for campaigns? But then it started increasing from a few couple of fingers you can count on two hands to over 100 selections which run. And now, not even a year, we are about, not sure what the number was, 4,000, something like this, runs we had. The number was really increasing very fast in the last months, especially. So fingers crossed that it will be going higher and higher.
And what would you attribute, to what would you attribute the success of seeing that huge increase in adoption? Why do you think that the users now get the hang of it?
I think, and we also talked about this, it is not that easy to figure out. We just can make assumptions. So of course you have the training, you have every slides, the recordings to rewatch. So our training was a 2-day training split where we confront with the whole theory of the tool. And then I guess first overwhelming, of course, like every tool. We also know it from our onboardings with Marketing Cloud. So if you have there the trainings, they are all like, okay, that's a lot of stuff. And then after the training, we are sending out also some documentations, how to do specific selections, to use also make it easier with predefined relationships. So also here again, working with more templates in the background, making it as easy for them, as easy as possible. And we also had then a meeting with a few colleagues to highlight again, to express again, hey, you have a new tool. We know Audience Builder is not anymore available, and SQL, we have also limitations on our end. So we said that's also what was one of the reasons why we said we need to purchase something. We are also not experts for SQL. We know the basic understanding of SQL, but when it comes really to more complex use cases, then we also like, okay, I need to Google it, and we are the technical colleagues. So imagine the business users who are not technical, and then they come with SQL requests. We said, we don't know, you have a tool, we can figure it out together. And then we started proactively coming to our customers, to our users then and say, hey, you have a new campaign, let's maybe set it up, not with Automation Studio, let's do it with DESelect, and create directly the templates, also with documentation where they can rebuild it. So we have two sides of user, I would say. The ones who are more technical and more proactive. So we don't know every use case they are doing. So we are just managing the tool and supporting, of course, in case something is needed. But a few divisions are really working on their own. Sometimes there is then a message, hey, can you help me with this? I don't find issue. Then we are finding it together, and then it's working perfectly fine. The selection they did. And for others, yeah, there we need to be on our side more proactive to guide them more hand by hand. With that, they're coming more and more into the tool, and now, at least that's my opinion, how the number is increasing. Maybe
right, and what I'm hearing is that you guys have played an important role within your organization, enabling the less technical users, but the training provided by DESelect and also support material that's provided by DESelect has helped a lot with just educating people. And over time, people probably are getting more familiar, and the data is less scary, and they become just better marketers because of it.
Yeah, true.
Great. Then as my final question, say someone is looking into DESelect segment and they're considering starting working with us. What advice would you give to those potential customers?
That's really a tough question because it's depending on how you use DESelect. If you're a real user, business user, maybe then with less SQL knowledge, then maybe I'm the wrong person to ask because I see it from a more technical, administrative and consulting perspective. And there my advice would be try to be in the mind of your user. How much are they capable of? DESelect the best fitting solution. It is if you need to have a little bit better structure for them to work more efficiency on a drag and drop solution space and not on a technical perspective.
So I'm not a technical user. I'm not that great in writing SQL queries. But then when I started using DESelect, when you understand the logic, like how the data sets are and how do you need to use the left join, inner join, or right join, once you get a hang of it, the tool is like more intuitive. Like when you drag and drop, it shows you a Venn diagram, like you understand stuff. Then again, you drag and drop another data extension and see how the filter goes, and then create a selection. You run a preview, you see the results. It's like from a non-technical user perspective, it is very intuitive. I would say like it's not that hard to get a hang of it. Once you start using the tool, once you start creating few selection, you will find it easier to use DESelect compared to Automation Studio. So I find DESelect to be more user friendly compared to Automation Studio. So as a non-technical user, I would always prefer DESelect.
Thank you for sharing that, Edwin.
I can also end on this to also highlight once a user comes at the early stage of DESelect to us and said, hey, I have a SQL query. Could you help us with that, please? And it was for me faster to just rebuild it in DESelect and just copy and paste the SQL code to them instead of figuring out the issue in the SQL code.
That's awesome. For sure.
So maybe that would be my advice, very similar to Edwin. So even if you are technical and you have SQL knowledge, so sometimes you're really faster to build with these to just drag and drop than to typing in your code.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. It's also something I've experienced myself. Thank you, gentlemen. Any final thoughts you would like to share?
From my side, the only thought is currently we're very happy with the tool. So we can only say thank you that we have now the opportunity to not be overwhelmed with SQL query requests from our users. So now we can easily do it as a non-technical user as well within DESelect.
Yeah, same here. Like we are very happy with the tool, and using DESelect, it reduces the manual effort as well as the margin for error in terms of writing SQL queries. Like even if there's a spelling error or there's a punctuation that is missing, then the whole thing goes wrong, right? And using DESelect, that saves a lot of time. And yes, happy with the tool.
Great. We're very happy to hear that you're happy, and we're very happy with you as customers. And thank you again, Edwin and Dennis, for participating in the success story. Much appreciated.